Well, on the weekend before Martin Luther King Day, Donald Trump decided to spew more of his poisonous racism at a Trump rally in Arizona, saying the kinds of things that only a hardcore committed racist like Donald Trump could say. He said, among other things, white people are not allowed to get the coronavirus vaccine in America. We will discuss that later in this hour. Today, President Joe Biden focused some of his Martin Luther King Day remarks on the 100 members of the United States Senate who are scheduled to begin debate tomorrow on voting rights legislation.
Where do we stand? Whose side are we on? Will we stand against voter suppression, yes or no? Will we stand against election subversion, yes or no? Will we stand up for an America where everyone is guaranteed the full protections and the full promise of this nation, yes or no? I know where I stand. It's time for every elected official in America to make it clear where they stand.
Today, Vice President Kamala Harris made a virtual appearance at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, where the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. served as pastor and where Senator Raphael Warnock currently serves as pastor. Vice President Harris spoke to the congregation gathered at Ebenezer Baptist Church from Washington, and she described the new voting laws passed by Republican state legislatures.
The proponents of these laws are not only putting in place obstacles to the ballot box, they are also working to interfere with our elections, to get the outcomes they want, and to discredit those they do not. That is not how democracies work. We know that if we stand idly by, our entire nation will pay the price for generations to come.
Today, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi contradicted what Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema said last week about the need for bipartisanship in voting rights legislation.
We all want bipartisanship. We all strive for it. We have a responsibility to do so. But when we cannot have it, we cannot confine our democracy to what might be bipartisanly possible. So I ask our colleagues in the Senate, respectfully, for what they think filibuster means, to compare that, to weigh the equities against our democracy, because nothing less is at stake than our democracy.
Our first guest tonight, Congressman James Clyburn, first met Martin Luther King in 1960 at Morehouse College in Atlanta. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee requested a meeting with Dr. King, and he agreed to meet with the students. The meeting lasted from 10 p.m. until 4 a.m. the next morning. Leading off our discussion tonight is Democratic Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina. He holds the leadership office of Majority Whip in the House of Representatives. Thank you very much for joining us once again tonight, Congressman Clyburn. Really appreciate it, especially on this important night honoring Martin Luther King.
Thank you very much for having me. This is really a real pleasure for me this evening. Thank you.
Can we go back to the